Are we in?
Yeah,
Yes?
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
great. Yeah,
Wait,
hello.
Joanne?
Yeah.
Then it wasn't a good joke.
Okay. Right. Are we actually streaming?
Yeah, we are.
Hello, welcome back, everyone, to
confused.
session 25. That was a confusing intro. I am equally as confused.
You know what they say, keep your DM on their toes.
Yeah. Session 25 of our Pathfinder second edition campaign.
Yeah,
How's everyone doing? Good?
Doing
Yeah,
good.
pretty good.
Good.
Nice. Yeah, great. Well, we are a quarter of the way to 100 sessions, everyone.
Jesus, wow.
Party
Jesus fucking
poppers.
Christ.
I know, we're almost there. Just this... Yeah, it's weird how fast these games go. Anyway. So, if everyone is good to go, we shall begin, perhaps.
Hell yeah.
Right, last we left off, then, the party had travelled to the Rithras Woods as part of the delegation with Cadell, that is led by Cadell, to go to the Emerald City, the city of Lenora. When you were passing through this area, which is still owned by the humans, you noticed that there was some trouble in a lumber camp, sort of nearby. Checking it out, you realised that the trees were coming alive and attacked the townspeople, and you helped fight off the trees. But you ultimately decided that you couldn't stay and help them out. But you managed to, leave the area safe enough for them to get their stuff together and leave. As you continued on, so I think we left off. You made a camp, and you had just come to Cadell Henning, and asked him about the shard that you had taken from Vera. That's correct, isn't it?
Yeah.
He told you that it was a broken shard of a mirror, a mirror that he did not know was broken. That once. Well, what serves as a sort of portal between this realm and the gloom. He says, this may explain why these rifts have been opening recently. Why it is easier for people to travel to the gloom and back.
Cyan's not there. He's with the other elves.
Yeah.
Sorry, I forgot we left the conversation. Left it mid.
It was sort of mid. We just he's just like
He's daydreaming.
I thought the conversation ended when Henning took it back and said, "Okay, we'll keep it safe till we get."
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so at some point he was mulling and said that. He said he also yeah. So where are we then? We're the let's start the next day, shall we? So that is the 70th day of spring. So as the camp opens up for the day, and everyone begins to pack away their things back onto the carts, Cadell comes and finds you all and says, I know it was difficult to decide to leave those humans behind, but we must make good progress onto the Emerald City. The longer we're on the road, the more vulnerable we are.
Well,
Vulnerable
say
to
it was
who?
difficult.
Vulnerable to a number of forces I am yet to identify.
Say, Cadell, I was thinking over the night. How does one open a portal to the gloom? I get the sense this place, Rithras, is quite far from any type of rift we've seen previously.
Ask Hanera. She's clearly quite good at it.
Cascus turns to Hanera. I know you can do the mumbo jumbo when you touch a certain thing, but can you do it anywhere?
I think I have to be at a portal.
So you could not just make one here if you so wished.
I could try.
Do. Be interesting.
Please don't try and kill it. Please try not to kill us, though.
mean, there's nothing to.
Cadell lifts his hand and says, Maybe it is better if Hinera does not try and create a portal to the gloom in the midst of this delegation.
I was,
Camp?
I was thinking that would have made it extra funny. I think those priests could do with a bit of a good time, you know? Points
be a-
over to the priests of Sienna.
Shiana, yeah.
Sienna.
Could be a shortcut.
I like the road. It is comforting.
I never took you for the traveling type. I would have thought you would have wanted to get out of here as soon as possible and find some nice cushy bed to lay your head on.
Perhaps, as though, I mean, look around. We have nice carriages. The road is not too bumpy all the time. I can sleep mildly comfortably. It is fine.
So
I
you're
say
not
we're-
entirely boring.
Boring.
We're hardly roughing it.
Yeah.
I never said I did not like to. I mean, hell, hell. I don't know if there is a hell here, but I took quite a few ships to get to here. And you know, the life of a merchant is often on the road.
Yeah. Just a question, Mike. How much health back do we get from the thing? Because I imagine because we're not in an inn or something, there's something about like comfort levels and things.
Oh yeah, I would say that camping with the equipment that you have been loaned by the delegation, you're having
And with cozy cabin.
you've got a cozy cabin as well up. You're having a fairly comfortable night's sleep every night on the road here.
All right. So how much health is that?
I mean, health-wise, I would be topping people up basically every 10 minutes.
Yeah,
once if we have downtime.
If you had just assume just go back to full every day unless I say otherwise. I think from this
Okay.
point because as Richard said, Calcifer can basically like unlimited heal people throughout the day anyway.
Right. Okay.
So you can always pretty much rely on getting back to full if there's nothing going on. So that being said, the camp begins to pack up and the carts soon begin to roll once again down the road. After a little while of travelling, Thranduil, Thranduilon, sorry, who was one of the delegate members who was hanging out with Leonor for a bit, he shouts over from the top of his cart as it's travelling over to Cadell and says, if I may, we will be passing Elanrion soon, my home. If the delegation doesn't mind, we may stop for a day or two there. High Lord Galad is my kin, and will greet us with the greatest hospitality in Adna. Cadell sort of nods and turns to you all and says, well, I'm not in a rush to get to Lenora. What do you say?
It's a long road ahead. I don't see why we can't spend a couple days.
Yeah,
Exactly.
as long as there is no treant around, that'd be nice.
Cadell goes sort of nods over to Thranduilon again and says, then, of course, we will be glad to make High Lord Galad's acquaintance. So, you have, from where you were, it's probably about a day's travel. Anything you particularly want to do on the day before you get to Elanrion? It should be towards the evening time that you start to get there.
Before I start, is Cascus still looking more human-y? Like, is he still wearing his
Yeah.
disguises?
Yes,
Cyan's gonna stop Cascus at one point and try and have a word with him.
proceed.
Is there anywhere quiet we can maybe conversate about something?
I suppose usually I like to brush my teeth before I do this type of thing.
Well, I don't think you're going to find anywhere to do that.
Okay, well, fine. I'm sure we can walk alongside the convoy for a while?
Yeah. I just wanted to know something. Why you're still... Yeah. He just kind of gestures to your whole face.
Uh, oh, the illusion.
Last we talked about it, you were talking about how it was to put humans at ease.
Well, it is now to put elves at ease. I do not think it make a difference. Either way, if you see a yellow-faced creature with horns running around, you, regardless if you are human or elf, you probably have a similar reaction.
I mean, I liked it, to be honest with you. I thought it was honest. I'm not saying you're being dishonest, but
Ask sighs.
I don't think that's what it is.
I feel like we have had this conversation before, but my growing up wasn't the easiest. Coming from where I came, and the world I grew up in, the one of which I was thrust into, it. If you were not a human, it was hard to do anything. Meaningful progress was difficult, and this illusion, which I've come upon recently, it is a gift for me. It allows me to finally not be seen as something different in a group. I can meld in and do what I need to do and get out.
Do you not find it tiresome? You know, wouldn't it just... Do you sometimes think it would be nicer if you could just sit down and be who you are and not have people look at you that way?
I never really like to think about it. I know probably less than anyone else here about what it actually means to be a tiefling. I've always, my whole life, seen it as a point of shame. It's something to be locked up, to be kept away, you know?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I'm no stranger to that either. Probably already guessed that, but...
No, but there is an authenticity to you that you don't care what people around you think. Do not repeat this ever, or I will shirk you in your sleep. But I do somewhat respect it, and have grown to.
I think that might be misplaced. I mean, I see a lot of myself in you at the moment. I see a lot of myself in Cadell at the moment. I see a lot of myself in Cadell. And I'm not entirely sure I like it.
I can still not make heads or tails of Cadell, but I would advise you not to be not to try and see myself in you. I am no good. He stops. He was about to say something but he kind of cuts himself short slightly.
Well, I think you're better than you give yourself credit for, at least.
Well, my family certainly do not think that. Oh, you should have seen the ruckus before we came on this ship.
Yeah, well, your family are assholes.
Perhaps.
Respectfully, they're assholes.
Perhaps, but they are in charge of one of the most successful merchant companies.
Being successful doesn't make you a good person.
Whoever said being a good person was important. Anyway, this is drifting into a debate on philosophy that too much for.
I just wanted to let you know you're in good company here, and if you ever want to take it off, might be nice now and then. Take it from someone who's had to hide a lot. It can be tiresome.
It's nods and
Okay. So what's everyone doing? Henning, Hanira, what are you doing on the on the journey? Anything particular?
Not anything in particular. I suppose it's just sort of contemplating the events that happened in Kelrius and maybe having a little look at the shard now and again when no one's looking. But other than that,
Okay, yeah. So as you, at some point along the journey, you take out the shard. Perhaps just walking alongside the caravan, and just because the caravan is moving pretty much at walking pace, because there's a number of guards who walk on foot, and there's a number of servants as well, who are walking alongside it. Sorry, just bear with me 2 seconds. So, where was I? Sorry, everyone just made me laugh. Oh yeah, you were looking at the crystal. Yeah. So as the crystal sort of, as you take it out of its wrapping and look deeply within it, you notice it has a kind of grip to it, which is really difficult to deal with. You sort of you pour your vision into it, and there's something within it. Not necessarily a voice, or not necessarily anything tangible or something that you can wrap your head around. It's just a feeling that it's really, really, really addictive to hold on to.
okay.
But you manage to overwhelm yourself and eventually put it away. But you keep thinking about it. You keep finding yourself every now and again thinking about it and just being like, I wonder if this could be used for something.
Okay. Well, yeah, he'll think about that over the next couple of days then.
Cool, right. Hanira.
I don't really have anything to do.
No? Cool. Well, you don't have to do anything particularly. You just enjoy the
Chatting,
enjoy the
enjoying
journey.
the view.
Who are you chatting with?
The driver.
Oh, the driver. The mysterious elven driver.
Mysterious
Adam L. Driver.
No, yeah. So the driver is this sort of like hunched over, quite old elf, who's pretty much like a working class kind of servant looking elf. He's wearing quite modest clothes, mostly sort of white cloth trousers as well. A sort of like leather belt around his waist. He sort of like looks over at you and says, "How many times have you been up and down the country, milady?"
This is the first.
The first. Well, I'm sure you've got a lot to see yet.
How many times have you been up and down the country?
Oh, more times than I dare to count. I've been doing this route for 4 centuries now.
Oh my goodness.
Something like that. I was a soldier before, but I injured my knee.
Cool.
Anyway, so the driver's the driver's incessant boring whining.
Okay.
Yeah, it sort of gives you a bit of a lull to sort of just listen to as you progress towards Elanrian.
I used to be an adventurer like you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And what about you, Calcifer? What have you let Hank out on this leg of the journey?
Yeah, I'll be letting him out to stretch his legs. How quickly does
fantastic.
the caravan sort of move? Is it just sort of a...
It's literally at walking pace. Because the roads are constantly filled with like debris that that people have to like move aside and stuff. So it's always stop start. It doesn't really pick up in pace very quickly. It's mostly a trundle.
Yeah, so Hank can at times just sort of like wander off.
Oh yeah, you could
Wander
literally
off,
just
come
walk
back.
alongside the caravan. Yeah. Hank can follow the caravan, no problem. He occasionally will come back with like a squirrel in his jaw or something.
Yeah,
Still alive. The squirrel's just limp.
Yeah. For like a few hours of the day, I'll just let him sort of roam.
Okay,
Sort
cool.
of, yeah, leave, come back and find us.
Fantastic. Okay, cool. In that case,
Dark.
so as you then travel along, as the sun comes up and begins to come down again. Just before it gets to evening, you see the majestic towers of the city of Elanrian, rising above the treetops in the distance. The city is situated on a hill, right by a bay, surrounded by a number of small forests, and there's a river which runs through it, kind of nearby into the sea. The walls of the city and the palace that reside within it are made of white stone, and they sort of sparkle in the sunlight, giving the city an ethereal glow. But all the roofs of the palace and the city itself are red. They've got like these sort of like what is it maple? What wood is red?
I think does maple just have red leaves?
Yeah, maybe. Anyway,
In
the wood. Yeah, the sort of wooden roofs have the sort of consistency and color of red maple leaves, effectively, and this combination of the red and the white it creates a sort of like almost ethereal effect in the sort of spring day, almost as if it was shimmering in the sunlight. So as you begin to file down the road and you get closer, you can see intricate carvings on the walls, these elven artworks that are etched into the stone. Who knows how long ago? And there's these elegant archways all across the gates themselves. The gates themselves are made of dark wood, which this sort of like black kind of ebony kind of wood, with intricate brass fittings and handles. And a few guards are posted outside, and Cadell goes over and talks to them. So after a little while, Cadell talks to them. They come over and talk to Thranduilon as well. And those of you who speak Elvish, hear Thranduilon explaining to the guards. Yes, High Lord Galad is my second cousin. He'll be thrilled to see me. And the guards look at each other and go, very well. And the gates open and you are let through.
Sorry, what was the name of this place again?
So this is Elanrian.
Oh, right, of course.
Okay, the token's now just the right size for it to just slot onto the city.
Is it quite a busy town? Is there like a thriving market economy, or is it fairly sparse?
The town itself, it's well maintained. It's got like neatly trimmed hedges lining the sides of the wall of the roads. You can see the occasional elf through the gate walking along the road, going about their daily business. But as you sort of get closer into and begin to file your way through the inner workings of the city, you can hear there's very little bustling of people, and you can hear the sort of sound of running water from the nearby river. You can hear chirping of birds, and you can hear like the faint sound of music filing through the city from various different places. So compared with other Sidon cities, Elanrian seems to be really sparsely populated. In your best guess, maybe only having 5,000 or 6,000 people living here.
And we have the name written down.
It's on the map.
Of course it is. Of course it is.
But there you go. Just because you need it again.
Thanks.
Does it look like they're like? I assume the elves make eye contact with us, and when they see those who appear to be human, do they kind of do we get a weird look at all?
Well, so, a lot of the elves are sort of more like the working class elves that you haven't seen so much of yet, and they mostly keep their heads down. They don't even look at the delegation. It's almost like the upper classes just don't even. They just straight up are not even like worthy of looking at them. So they don't really look up at you as you pass through the city. A couple of the nobles that you see who are around, some of them do sort of tilt their head in disgust a little bit at seeing non-elves here, but it's not super obvious.
Okay.
So that being said, as you're passing through the town, Thranduilon says, home at last. I could write a poem about it.
I'm sure we'd all have to sit down and listen to it. I kind of, I make it very clear that I'm joking. Like I've got a wide grin as I say it.
He says, "I will not fall into your ways, but if you wish, I will do you a little poem."
Oh no.
Yeah, he takes out his lute and tells you a little poem as you go across.
Henning glares at Sion with daggers.
I try to get him very much like I didn't actually expect him to.
There you go. So as you approach the gates, the party can see you can all see guards standing at attention as you sort of head towards the palace, and they're all wearing the livery of House Galad, which is blue and green, despite the city's red roofs. They're armed with longbows and swords, and you see that their armor is intricately crafted, with the emblem of House Galad emblazoned on their chests, which is a two-headed eagle, which is being impaled by 7 spears.
Do you have a photo of that, or is that one of the AI ones?
No, I haven't done one of that yet.
Okay.
This is just a minor house. House
Yeah,
Galad.
yeah,
House
yeah.
Galad is like one. He's basically the not particularly high up anyway.
I just sort
So-
of like side to the guy that's brought us here. What they got against eagles?
Thranduilon laughs to hear you say that and says, "A lot of the I do not know if you know this, but a lot of the elven houses feature the livery of great creatures that the house's ancestors once slayed. This is not just any eagle. It depicts a rock that our ancestor killed by himself." Many of the other houses feature animals such as krakens, dragons, various
happen.
other animals.
What's the emblem for House Kaidas, if I may?
House Kaidas is the dragon to which I refer to. House Kaidas famous Daeron Kaidas took on the emblem of the dragon after he banished the last of the dragons from Aduna.
And Ignis?
Ignis is a phoenix.
It would be. It's a shame there are no more dragons left. Smirks to science like.
I kind of give him a little grimace. Yes, I would have very much liked to have talked to one. Such strange creatures.
Oh, I do not know about that. Elves and dragons have not historically made the best of allies.
Can I ask why? I should know this, but my tutor was not very good, I should say.
It is what it is. Both elves and dragons see themselves as the highest on the pecking order, I suppose. Cannot have two alphas.
I am surprised that this continent is huge. It is breathtakingly beautiful. Surely there is a place for both elves and dragons to live side by side.
Problem with people in power is eventually they start looking towards each other.
I understand power, but I'm just surprised, that is all.
It is just a question of fairness. How many elves do you think live in the basalt tiles? Not many, I would put to you. Anyway, we're almost there now. So you pass through the main palace entrance into a beautiful courtyard outside the main palace doorway. There's like these ponds filled with koi fish, and it's like Small little neatly trimmed trees, stones, sand, sort of in different areas, in a sort of it's very serene kind of garden. And you see these like rare and exotic birds that are nestling in the trees. So there's like parrots and various macaws and sort of brightly coloured jungle birds, just kind of watching you as you just enter this into this garden. So that the delegation files their way through, and you hear. Oh yeah. So as you sort of like stand around and just look around a little bit, you notice deer, quite large deer here, and they are sort of just chilling. They don't seem to be scared by the people around. And in the distance, you see an absolutely massive stag come out of a bush and just sort of look over at you all with these majestic antlers that are completely like marble white, flashing in the sunlight. So after a moment, you hear an elf's voice shout out, "Thrand, how good to see you!" For those who speak Elven. For the rest of you, it just sounds like Welsh.
Something.
Just sounds like Welsh. You see a middle-aged, kind of slightly pudgy, wearing a comfortable silk gown and slippers, middle-aged elf man approach from one of the courtyard paths. Goes over to Thranduilon and embraces him and says, "It's so good to see you. I was just taking my morning walk." Thranduilon says, "Cousin, it's been too long." And the elf that has sort of introduces himself. "I am, my lords and ladies, welcome to Elanrion." He says, turns to you all and says, bows towards you slightly. "I am Iron Galad, High Lord of House Galad and Governor of this city." For those of you who don't speak Elven, you're getting it translated from someone, I presume.
I'm kind of whispering in Cascus's ear.
Fine, cool. "It is an honour to welcome you to my home, and I hope that your stay here will be a pleasant one. I am at your service, and anything that I can do to make your stay more comfortable, please do not hesitate to ask. The people of Elanrion are known for their hospitality, and I assure you that you will not be disappointed." And one by one, he sort of goes around and introduces himself in person to all of you. So is there anything anyone wants to say to him when he approaches?
Can I do a make an impression check?
Sure.
And as he does, I'll just roll a diplomacy check now.
Of course.
Cascus does his classic. I'll also make this a lead as well. His classic kind of deep bow and says, "My lord, it is an honor to make your acquaintance. Humans and elves, although we have some discernible differences, have much more in common." As he kind of comes
Yeah,
forward.
fantastic, cool. He takes your hand and says, "I agree completely. If there's anything that your people ever need, the city of Elanrion would be glad to help. I have heard about the issues that the humans are facing at the moment."
Well, it travels fast.
They do, but I am on the border of the human territories. I am the first stop most human merchants make. I am naturally the first to find out most news, in Adner especially.
Have you heard anything about walking trees?
That is not something I have heard much of.
We were waylaid by some on the way here. They're attacking a human settlement.
Were they now? Well, that makes attacks to our south and our north.
We do not wish to pry, but we would be very much happy to hear what you have to say about attacks to the north, perhaps over a drink of some description.
Of course. Please, you all must come in. I'll have places made for you to stay, and that you can all get that sort of road smell out of your clothes. We have in the palace a large collection of natural hot springs, so each of the rooms is designed with that in mind. So you'll be able
Nera is visibly excited.
you'll be able to have a hot, nice bath.
Yes.
Man's gonna whisper in Cascus's ear, what is with her in baths?
I blame somebody for wanting to be clean.
Yeah, I swear that's all she talks about. Baths, baths, baths.
All right, what did you want to say, Richard?
I would say when he gets to Calcifer would basically just like to kind of subtly imply that we are here and available for hire to do things for
Cool.
a price.
Okay, fine. Yeah, you'll have more of an opportunity to properly meet him. He's sort of engaged with a lot of the other delegation as well, so his focus is not especially on you at the moment. But so you follow him along with the rest of the delegation through the grand entrance of the palace, and you can't help, I guess, but feel a sense of awe at the sheer scale of this building. The whole palace is made of this intricately carved white stone, with these elegant columns which support the roof, and again has all these crazy carvings alongside the walls, like patterns, kind of like a sort of like a Celtic knot kind of pattern all across the wall. Must have taken someone a very long time to do it. The air within the palace is cool and refreshing, and there's this sort of almost perfumed scent to it that lingers in the air. You can sort of make out a few of the scents. It smells a little bit like cinnamon, maybe a bit of lime as well, but you can't quite make out a few of the others. And you can't quite make out where it's coming from. It's almost like the stone itself is sort of giving off the smell. So as you're led through the grand hall, which is adorned with these sort of lush elven tapestries and intricate artworks, mostly sewn by hand, he takes you through this large indoor greenhouse courtyard in the center of the palace, where the sort of domed roof structure above you is actually made of glass, and it's just letting the sunlight in, and it sort of creates a greenhouse kind of effect, and there's a warmth in this part. There's beautiful trees and colourful flowers in here. It's like a summer garden. It feels like a summer garden potentially all year round in this part, which is also another beautiful area. He leads you into this long corridor lined with doors, and he says, we have several areas for relaxation and entertainment, including a library, a ballroom, and a number of themed gardens. You met me outside in our Serenity Garden, and this place is our fruit garden. Many of these fruits would not usually grow in Adana, but my ancestor Elnius Galad designed this place with the finer tastes in mind. So the only place you're not permitted, I must say, if you accept my apology, is my own personal quarters, and that's the 4th floor and above. I don't suppose we'll have a problem with that from anyone. And then he looks down at a gold-plated, obviously human-made pocket watch that he's got in his hand. Which is interesting, an interesting link that he's had with the humans. He says, now dinner will be served in about 2 hours. The feasting hall is just down there. He points to the hall, and then he says, I'd be glad to make your acquaintance better once I am dressed. And he sort of, a few of the delegation laugh. And then he makes his leave. He goes up the stairs. So your rooms themselves are each located on the 2nd floor of the palace, and you have a stunning view of the gardens from each of your windows. So you have a room each, and they're decorated with elegant furnishings, including a large, comfortable bed with plush pillows and blankets. There's a small seating area by the window where you can enjoy the view while sipping on tea. And there's this sort of loose leaf tea which is provided in glass jars nearby, along with this alchemical water heater. And a filter. And the room has its own private bathroom, which includes a large bath tub for soaking in. And the hot springs water is pumped by hand from wells below the palace. But the pump is actually really smooth once you get it going, and it doesn't take much effort before the water just kind of siphons up and flows up on its own. So it doesn't take much effort to fill up the tub at all. And the water itself is like a really perfect temperature. And the second you get into it, it's just like, oh. So you have a couple of hours to sort of just chill and just do what you kind of want before dinner.
How long were we on the road for?
So you're on the road. I think since you've left Kelrius, it's been like 2.5 days.
Okay, so we all need baths, so I'm gonna have a bath. Are there any fancy soaps?
Yeah, so there's like a sort of there's like a whole bunch of different like bars of soap which have clearly not been used at all before. Like they've just been unwrapped from their cloth and wherever they've been bought it from.
I'm gonna get my fancy dress out of my bag. Not fancy dress, just the dress.
Yeah.
Because I wear trousers now because I'm a adventurer.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get the dress out of my bag and hang it up so it steams in the bath. So,
Okay. Yeah. Cool.
So get the wrinkles out.
Nice. Yeah. Okay. That's no problem. There are probably servants you can ask to just do that for you. Each of the rooms does have like a servant who just tends to linger about it, and you're not quite sure whether they're just there on hand or.
Oh yeah, I'll ask them to steam my dress.
Yeah, that's no
Iron
problem. Yeah, so like if you speak to this sort of maybe quite young girl, elf girl, and she says, "Yes, of course, my lady," and she goes in and takes your dress. Probably too young to be working, but that'd be the elves, anyway. So, yeah, what's everyone else doing? Heading? Oh yeah, go, yeah.
So how big are the baths?
The baths, they're big enough for. I mean, they're probably about 1.5 meters by 1.5 meters or something. It's quite hard to.
Okay,
I'd say
so,
let's say 5 foot by 5 foot.
okay, so a bit snug,
Yeah.
especially for Hank.
Oh yeah, I mean Hank could probably wriggle his way into it, but it would sort of displace most of the water probably.
Yeah, I mean, I think Calcifer probably would by the sounds of it. I mean, that wouldn't fit me.
Yeah.
He'll just give himself a wash.
Cool. Get your clothes ready. All right, Henning, what are you up to?
I suppose it's been a couple of days. I suppose he might, if he's alone, take and have a look at the shard again.
Okay.
He's feeling that pull.
So here, interestingly, as you look through the shard, and it sort of gives you a bit of a glimpse into the gloom. Usually, like when you were on the road, everywhere you looked it was just all trees. Here, as you're looking through, there is a palace exactly like the one that is here. But as you look through it, it is completely like sort of partially destroyed and looks very, very like ruined. And there's this sort of like gloomy kind of fog that is glimpsing through it, and you just slowly make a perception check for me, actually.
Okay.
Yeah,
Where is it? There it is. Just a normal circumstance.
Yeah.
28.
28. Okay, so you begin looking at it, and as you look over at the sort of main hall structure through your bedroom window, you can sort of look over the gardens and across to it. It looks like the whole building has been completely just caved in, and it looks like there's in the gloom bit. But you swear you see something moving in distance, like jumping across one of the stones.
I will go and try to find it.
You're just going to go for a walk through the...
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's cool. So you go off and you begin making your way through the palace. And you go out into the gardens closer to where you thought you saw it moving before. And you begin looking through it again.
Okay. Do I need to roll anything?
No, you got quite a good roll last time. I'll let you,
Okay.
I'll let you using that one. So
Okay.
you're having a look around, and then you see something moving, and it is this like long, leathery, skinny, but very tall, kind of humanoid creature with like black leathery skin, like almost like it's just like a cow's skin, just like really thick. and it's moving with this really quite eerie kind of grace across one of the buildings nearby. And as it sort of turns and looks over in your direction, you notice it's got this like shield, kind of bronze shield for a head, with all these sort of like geometric patterns on the front, I guess, something like that. And then it sort of just jumps across from building to building and just like runs off. But it's really eerie to look through. And then after a moment, you feel a presence next to you, and Cadell's next to you and says, "I thought we said to maybe keep that out of the way."
Oh, Cadell, when did you get here?
You've been looking into it for quite a while. I'm surprised that no one else saw you.
How long?
Only a minute or two. But it was too long for it to be I don't know, freak occurrence.
I suppose maybe curiosity got the better.
Yes. Well, this is a place that we don't want to be getting too many questions asked of either of us here. We will make our peace with these elves, and we will head onwards.
Right. I agree. No more.
Right. He sort of turns off and says, "Dinner will be soon. Will you be coming?"
Yes. I'll just go freshened up a bit. Then I'll be down for dinner.
Very well. Is there anything? Is there any last bits that anyone wants to do before dinner?
I think Cascus was gonna. I think he was also gonna go for a kind of quick, just a kind of leisurely stroll, kind of really taken away by the kind of beauty of this place. Maybe
Okay.
change into some kind of silks or something.
Mhm.
Kind of maybe go back to the Serenity Garden.
Oh yeah.
So kind of
That's like,
walking-
yeah, just out the front.
Yeah, with like all the pools and kind of with Sion's words in his head from earlier the day in his mind, he kind of goes over to one of the pools and kind of puts his fingers kind of just and swashes the water around. And so you can't really see the reflection, and he kind of detracts the illusion just from his hand for a moment. Kind of lost in
You
its
see
kind
the red skin sort of poking through.
Yeah. And then as the reflection stills in the water and the ripples stop, he kind of lets it detract from his face, so you can see his yellow, demony face. Kind of melancholy, I suppose, is kind of on his mind slightly. A bit of a sigh. And just kind of looks for a bit. And after a while, gets back and puts the illusion back on.
Okay. Yeah, as you sort of look up from the water, you notice that in the distance there is a small elven child, dressed in the sort of clothes of an elven noble. Can't quite tell whether it's a young boy or a girl. It's like just androgynous child on a bench in the distance, just watching you. And then once they notice that you've spotted them, sort of gets off and just runs off.
He kind of holds he's about to say something, almost as his hand raises to kind of point, but then doesn't follow through with it as he sees the child run away and just kind of carries on his walk, but with a little less reflection and sort of introspection for the rest of it.
Cool. Okay, cool. You don't manage, and none of you managed to quite get out of the palace before dinner. So you haven't really seen much of the town itself, so you don't quite know what's about. So
We'd
let's
be
go
allowed
to
to
dinner,
leave.
shall we? Well, that's
Does
something
it-
you have to ask.
Okay.
Yeah, that's probably something you have to ask a guard or High Lord Aeon, Galad. All right, so let's go to dinner then, shall we? So, oh, you're gone.
What's the High Lord's name?
His name is Aeon Galad.
Aeon. I thought you said Iron.
I
Well-
heard iron as well.
It's
Avatar
yeah.
last president?
Okay.
Yeah, I have Ion written down.
I had ion as well.
We should do like a bingo for playing this, and like everyone gets different things about like I had this for a name. I had this. Mike didn't. Mike's made up a weird name. What else could we have on there? Yeah.
I suppose for a rule of thumb, we should just pick the strangest spelling we can think of for each name.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I go for. Alright, so anyway, dinner itself, it's not as crazily fanciful as you expected. There is some meat that has been hunted for the occasion, like a couple of stags, like a bit of like boar. But it's been prepared in a quite weird way. Like almost all the moisture has been sucked out of it, and it's sort of presented as like strips of kind of jerky on plates, combined with this quite weird mushy bread that you recognize, Hanera, as being bread that has been created from hex weaves. The magical artifacts that elves use to just make food, basically, and that's what they live off. So it's despite Thranduilon saying that it was going to be a mighty feast, this is a mighty feast for elves, not particularly for humans.
Probably the best Cyan's ever eaten.
You've certainly eaten better in this campaign, for sure.
Okay.
So the food itself, it fills you up. It doesn't taste bad. It's just kind of boring, and it's a bit dry. So you have plenty of water with it. There's some wine that the elves give you. So at some point during the evening, High Lord Aeon says, "Well, unfortunately, you may have some trouble, Cadell, reaching Lenora." Whilst nibbling politely on his bread, he goes over to reach for his wine. "There have been reports of bandits on the road. Troublesome. They've killed 6 of my men this past week alone." Cadell says, "Nothing we cannot handle, surely. We have a number of guards, and many of us are trained in combat if need be it." And Aeon says, "I wouldn't risk it personally. These are no regular bandits. They're rebels, traitors to the Padron, defectors." Cadell raises an eyebrow. "From the Garenia?" And Aeon nods. And he says, "Yes, unfortunately. It is much harder to put down treacherous nobles than it is the common rough. I don't know much, but a few of my men came across the remnants of the bodies on the road. There is at least one shade wielder among these rebels, from the description of their corpses." And then Cadell says, "So that is why you assume they are Garenia defectors, then?" And Aeon says, "Well, who else would it be?" So then Cadell sort of just gives you all a look.
Do you know this Shade Wielder's name, by any chance?
Are you asking the High Lord that?
Yeah.
He says, "I do not know anything about these defectors. I just assumed that they were from the Garenia by the fact that there must be a shade wielder amongst them."
Can I do a roll to check if I know what Grenier is?
Yes.
I don't know if
yes.
Cascus
Oh,
right?
it has. I think it has been explained to you. So the
Oh,
Garenia. Well, no, that's fine. That was right at the start of the campaign. So remember, the Rodrons are currently being invaded.
Yes.
The army that's invading them is called the Garenia, and that's the royal army. And the royal army is made up entirely of nobles. So all the noble houses, one of their sons has to go to the Garenia. So it's an army made from nobles, and then each noble house gets their own sort of like
Standing
army as well, which are made from commoners.
Okay.
So it's basically yeah, that's what the Garenia is. It's the royal army, which is under the control of the Padron, or at least the House Valoran, and then is made up of noble house members. High Lord Aeon says, yes, well, I don't see who else it would be other than a defecting noble house. But it wouldn't be anyone within House Rexus, and no other house would come here attacking us. So it would have to be from the Garenia.
Maybe they're running from something.
Cadell says, I think it's much more likely that it's other houses playing games, my lord. It wouldn't be the first time. And Aen says, nonsense. We have a good reputation with every other house in this entire area.
Respectfully, my lord, that's what everyone thinks before something happens.
Yes, my lord, Cadell says. If that is what you say. He looks over at you, Cyan.
Cyan gives him a look like, what? I was just saying. And he's quietly sipping his wine.
So Thranduilon pipes up at the table and says, so if we aren't to go via the main road to to the Emerald City, then which direction are we going to go? And Cadell says, I fear that we may have to go through Heresden. You, Cyan, you hear Nyx gasp in your ear, and you hear Nyx say, "The city that starved."
I must excuse myself.
You notice that quite a lot of people are looking at you, and it was quite obvious that Nyx said that audibly. But no one quite know. A lot of the delegation don't know where it came from. And High Lord Aen. Cadell says, yes, Hanira, your education on the matter is clearly understood, well understood.
Yeah.
I give Cadella very much a thank you look.
He's
Forgive my
oh yeah, go on,
ignorance.
no, sorry, Cascas.
My lord, forgive my ignorance. I am but a human. May I inquire what this Heresdan is?
Yes. Cadell says, Heresdan is an old Sidan city that attempted to overthrow their High Lord many years ago. In retaliation, the other elves barred the city gates and allowed the entire city to starve. 100,000 souls perished without a lord to feed them. It's been left as a monument to the strength of our elven high lords. One of the delegation speaks up and says, I've heard the stories of the ghosts that haunt that city, the souls of those who died in the starvation. And if you don't get killed by the ghosts, it's the bandits and the lordless who'll get you.
The Lordless, I imagine that's something like a Ronin, right? Like, no master, just a bunch of brigands type thing.
Yes. High Lord Aen says, yes, that is... a lot of bandits make their home within the walls of the city of Heresdan. I wouldn't recommend going through it. And Cadell says, we don't have to go through it, we can just pass by it. We don't need to go into the city itself, just follow the road across.
If I may be so bold, but could we not take a ship crossing there instead? Not to Heresdan, but to the Emerald City.
Cadell says, I did mean to explain. There is a nature of something that makes it very difficult for us to cross the water with this delegation.
What, we're vampires or something?
Not vampires. We have priests of the Siana here. They do not like to travel by boat.
I see.
At the smaller islands, surely there were priests there. How did they get across?
They were not the same kind of priests.
Ah.
It is hard to explain. And High Lord Aen says, priests. They are very confusing.
Well, please do not explain now on my account. I understand.
Water can be very dangerous for them. Cadell says. Anyway. So is there anything during dinner that you wish to ask the High Lord or anyone else in the delegation?
I was more keeping an eye on the delegation, see if there's any that gives off the impression that they're who I'm looking for, or...
Make a perception check.
Okay.
Actually, make a diplomacy check.
Diplomacy. Is this a public one, or...?
Yes.
$20.
Okay. So your first suspicion, I think, is Leonel, who from before, like, was saying a lot of stuff. He seems to be quite chill today. He seems to be just sort of like enjoying the elven hospitality. He's flirting with a couple of the servants. Awkwardly, like, also is quite gross. So he's
Oh, lovely.
yeah. So Thranduilon is mostly trying to just like talk to his second cousin, who's the High Lord, and the High Lord keeps kind of ignoring him a little bit. You also begin to notice a few other people. I think you spoke to. Have you spoken to Garand yet? He's a scholar.
I don't think... I think that's the first time I'm hearing that name.
Mm.
Okay, well, so one of the delegation is a sort of quite young, I suppose, scholar. He has dedicated his life to studying and reciting the Sayonara. He introduces himself from House Thalassia, which
What's
is
his name again, sorry?
Garand.
Garand. House Thalassia.
Like the gun?
Like the gun.
Yeah, the M1 Grand.
Oh, right, yeah, maybe. I think that's named after a person. I think it's... Anyway, he says that he is from the city of Phaetana.
All right.
And then there's also Phalith, who is a warrior. She is from House Silmeria. She's dressed in a sort of quite burly kind of armor. That doesn't look too uncomfortable, but she wears it all the time. You haven't seen her take it off yet. And her name is Phalith. And she introduces herself as she's actually captain of the guard that is on the delegation. So she's loyal to House Valoran as well.
Right. There's no one that might be closer to, say, House Ignis or anything.
From your diplomacy check, you don't notice anyone who has a loyalty to House Ignis in the group.
Right. But no one's also like staring at me or anything, trying to.
No, not particularly. You don't notice anything particularly out the ordinary.
Fair enough.
Okay. So, where are we then? Dinner. Yeah. So, yeah. Is there anything else anyone wanted to ask?
I would like to sort of maybe poke for some more information about the maybe the bandits, see if it's something we could maybe look at while we're around.
Yeah. What do you want to say to him?
Right. These bandit lot.
Yeah.
How far away are these guys?
Well, we don't really know. That's the thing. That we tracked them somewhere along the Pelgras Woods, which is this wood here, if you can see on the something. They seem to be attacking somewhere across the stretch of the road that goes north towards Tharloon. And Cadell says yes, and we wish to go via Heresdan to Anuna, and then just to hopefully cross around that region. We do not want to come under attack of a shade wielder. We would not bear too well, I think.
Right. We're actually, I was just wondering if we could, maybe lend a hand. Kind of look to the other guys.
Food's done. I'll be right back.
Okay. Aeon says, I have sent for help from the Padron's house. So we should have some knights coming down that road soon. But I will not know whether that will be in a week or in a month or what.
Have you had to pay for that service at all?
I pay for that service with my taxes. But it's my liege house, which is not helping as much as I wish to admit. House Rexus.
Where are House Rexus based?
Well, so House Rexus, their capital used to be Kelris.
Okay, yeah.
But since Kelris was taken over by the humans, they are now based in Slarian, which is like a very, very large city fortress on the coast. And they are the liege lords of most of this place. But that's mostly because they can just sort of land boats and just take over places when they need to. They're not really helping that much with this problem, though.
And I assume there's like no Sienna. Sorry, the clerics in Slarian.
No, well, not really. No. Not really. I mean, there are clerics that you can like. You can at very dear cost teleport them across places like that.
I see. Yeah.
But yeah, it's obviously more expensive the further you teleport them and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So High Lord Aeon Galad says we have sent men, but I have no shade wielders amongst my men. And all the men I have sent have so far been killed. So you are welcome to investigate it if you wish, but I've sent both more men and more well-equipped men.
I'm just gonna sort of look to the party, try and gauge everyone's reactions.
I think we should just focus on the task at hand, which is getting to Lenora.
Were these attacks more recent, as in the previous few days, or?
Yes, they've started over the last few days, I suppose. Cadell speaks up and says, I suspect they may be targeting our delegation. If they do not truly know where we are along the road yet, it would make sense to start the attacks and stoppages of people on the road early. So there's no chance of missing.
I do not mean to be perhaps slightly, I was about to say tinfoily, but that's probably not a thing here. I do not weigh into conspiracy theories much, but is there not a chance they are trying to lead the delegation into Heresdan, if that was be the case?
Well, this is what I'm saying. We have a choice. Cadell says. We either go via Heresdan. We either take the main road, or we ditch the priests and go across the water.
I was gonna suggest ditching the priests and going across the water.
Could we not the priests get teleported later on?
I will just feel very bad if a number of priests then get killed trying to travel on their own.
Are they even people. They got giant fish balls for heads.
You can't ask things like that, sir.
It is forbidden for any non-initiatee to witness their true form. So we will never know.
They could be like some kind of construct or something.
It is a grave sin to find out. Let me tell you. We keep that very safe here, and we keep the safety of the priests incredibly important.
Are the priests actually at the dinner, or are they just
No, they
praying
didn't come.
somewhere?
They didn't come. Like you haven't seen them eat anything. Like they
That's
don't open up their
interesting.
fish bowls or anything.
Score 1 for the possibly constructs theory.
Or possibly vampires.
Heavy Akkadian users.
Can't go over water.
All right. So in that case, the dinner kind of comes to a head then, I guess. There's no further questions anyone wants to ask.
Nope.
All right. The dinner comes to its head then, and you go back to your bedrooms. At some point during the night, Hanera, you hear like a scream out the window. You can't quite tell whether it's woken anyone else up.
Can I get up and look out the window?
Yeah, make a perception check for me.
22.
It's like, ah! 22. You don't quite make anything out. You think you may in the far corner of the gardens, the serene gardens, see a bit of movement, but you can't quite make anything else out.
Probably just go back to sleep.
Okay, cool.
I think that's fine. Sorry, I should have done.
No, yeah, well, no, it didn't wake any of you, anyone else up. So.
Okay.
All right. So the next morning, then. Actually,
In
let's
the
take a
bed.
break there, shall we? Let's take a break there, shall we? Then 15 minutes. Let's come back in 15 minutes. Yeah,
Alright.
do you want to thing is Richard?
See you in a bit. 84 people.
All right, hello, welcome back. So just before the break, the party, what were you doing? You were just sort of traveling. You arrived at Alanrian, the rather beautiful elf city, right on the coast, and right on the border with the humans. It's your real first foray into elf territory proper, and your first foray into any city that hasn't been run by the humans, right? Except for Sethel. Sorry, yeah. That doesn't really count. Don't know. It does count. Either way, you were told by High Lord Aen Galad that there was some sort of bandit or rebel group operating somewhere within the Pelgas woods and was attacking people on the road, and warned Cadell and the rest of the delegation to steer quite clear away from it. Cadell suggested going to Herazdan, the ruined sort of graveyard city, effectively, the city that starved. Which was explained that a long time ago it was the people of the city were locked in after they attempted to overthrow their lord, and they were left to starve to death, as a sort of representation of this is what you do when you fuck with us. That being said, Cadell said he wouldn't take you within the city walls, just take you around the city and bypass it. So it shouldn't. He says it shouldn't be dangerous. But alas, then we sort of finished off the dinner and came to the next day, right? This is what
Yeah. In the room, Cyan's gonna try and get Nyx out.
Yeah, Nyx appears.
Okay, we need to be more careful from now on.
I don't know why I said that.
It happens a lot. You just... I don't mean to be think, but you say things a lot and it comes out of nowhere. Is there a way you can try and keep that down? If they find out, if the elves find out most of all, that's kind of it for us.
Well, I think I'll be okay, but I get your point.
I mean, yeah, you'll be fine. My head will probably be on some wall, or I'll be paraded through the streets of some kind of weird thing.
No, yes, I'm sorry, I understand.
But
I don't know where that came from, though. I've
You
heard
wanna
that place before.
do you want to have a closer look at it?
I don't know whether I really want to go and have a look at it, or whether something's telling me to stay very far away from it.
Maybe we'll find out as we get closer. If we get closer, that is.
Yes, of course. What are we? What do you want to do?
I just want to get off the road. Really, I want to find out who the fuck is being... What I want is to know who I'm talking to, what to do about the person I'm talking to. Like, I don't know if I should, keep him alive or not, rat him out to Cadell. He's helping Ignis. And I don't think I remember seeing anyone here from that day, so I don't think whoever we're looking for is, one of those.
Hmm.
That said,
Did you tell Cadell about it?
I did tell Cadell that a member of the delegations with him, with Bastard McBastardface. But other than that, I didn't know who it was. Ignis refused to tell me.
I'll keep my eyes out. So this morning that has dawned is a good day. It's sunny. The bay of Elanrian itself. You see a number of elven ships gliding into the harbour, travelling quite slowly but gracefully. Mostly road, with one sort of like triangular sail in the centre of a sort of more like galley-shaped ship. as you prepare yourselves for the morning, and you see the rest of the delegation, Cadell says, I do not yet know whether we are to leave today or to leave tomorrow. I haven't quite made my final decisions on whether to head to Herisdan or not yet.
What is your current thinking on the matter?
Well, it shouldn't add too much onto our time walking via Herisdan, and like I said, I don't think we should expect danger up there. But the road is a little bit more wary.
I'm anxious to find stuff out about that place.
What is it that you want to find out?
Well, I have a hunch that something might be connected with you know who. But that said, if we can avoid that place, all the better, I think. I don't want to get into fights with any ghosts if they're real.
I think as for ghosts, don't have to worry about them. There are plenty of people living there who would slit your throat for the food you carry in your bag.
Or people pretending to be ghosts.
All that, I suppose. Well, in that case, if it is okay with everyone, I will make the arrangements for us to head via Herisdan.
Yeah,
Calcifer,
good.
Cyan? Calcifer, Cascus, what do you think? Panera?
This is not my land. Yeah, I have interest. I am trusted in your company, so as long as I reach the Emerald City, I am content. But do check on the rest of the delegation. It is obviously not just us.
Of course,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah, you know this place better than us. Probably best to just rely on what you want.
Okay, well, then we will leave tomorrow morning. Yes? You have a day to yourselves.
Very good.
All right.
Right, very well. Cadell goes off. Yeah, is there anything anyone particularly wants to do with their day?
I think I'd like to wander around the town. Try and actually speak to some normal elves.
Yeah, you can go out into the city streets if you wish. The main city streets of Elanrian are very well maintained, very well tended to. They've got these sort of quite quaint cobbled roads and quite narrow houses that seem to have mostly wooden facades on the streets. They're not all made of marble. A lot of them have sort of kind of paper-ish kind of windows, and just to keep the heat, keep the heat from cooking them inside the house, keeping everything flowing and breezy. It is quite warm today. A lot of the people who are out are just doing manual labor. Like you see, a few people working on buildings, a few people maintaining the palace, maintaining the walls outside. A few people buy markets, but there's not that much food being sold. No one here buys food. You notice, it's all they all have their own rations and supplies of food. And most of the markets are just very plain clothes stalls or very austere kind of forms of jewelry for most of the working class people. You also notice there doesn't seem to be any crime or homelessness. A lot of the elves around here just seem to be just going about their day-to-day business. No sickness on the streets, no loads and loads of old people. And definitely not a big consumer goods market either.
Can I try to approach somebody?
Yeah, of course. Are you approaching a commoner?
Yeah.
You'll probably find quite quickly that they don't speak. They only speak Elven.
Okay.
So one of them is sort of you're trying to talk to one of them in Lavari, and they just saying over and over again. No comment, no comment.
No comment, no comment.
Okay. Did anyone come with me?
I can come with you if you want.
Sure.
Okay.
Hey,
What?
Cyan, please try again.
What are you trying to say again? Sorry.
I'm just seeing if I can this person can spare a moment of their time to talk.
Yeah, I say in Elven. My friend here, his understanding of Elven is rather small. He'd like a moment of your time, if that's all right.
The kind of middle-aged elf stops, sort of scrunches up his face a little bit and looks you up and down. He's got fairly short hair, cropped quite short. One of his ears is pierced, sort of with a tag of some sort. It seems like a tag. It might just be like denoting his class. Either way, he turns to you and says, "What can I do for you?"
Firstly, thank you for taking a moment to speak. And he just kind of hands him, I don't know, from his various pouches of the kind of goods he collected from Port Dauron, from various merchants and things, just something, maybe like, I don't know, a type of jewel that you don't often see. He hasn't kind of spotted around or something like that.
Okay.
And kind of passes it to the man and says, "Please, I just would like to understand a bit more about the type of trade that goes around here. It is curious, is it not? It is for a human like myself."
Cyan's just going to say everything word for word, but not as gracefully as Cascus is putting it. It's just
Sure,
more
yeah.
like, yeah.
Okay. The elf looks at you and quite strangely and says, "I don't know what you're talking about. We do our work, the lords deal with it, and we get some food."
Surely you must want something.
What we want is security and safety, and that's what we have.
That is all you want. You do not want, the latest clothes, revelry, fine things, entertainment.
He sort of smiles a bit and says, "How old are you?"
That is a rather personal question to ask an acquaintance, is it not?
Well, maybe you would explain why you think in such material ways.
Material ways. I have, at least I have very nice material ways.
He turns to you and says, "I will answer the question for you. I am 300 years old. I have been here working my job, which is as a chainmail maker, for 250 of those years. There is nothing that I need that will outlast how long I can sit here and do this one thing. I have everything I need. I have a family, I have food, I have somewhere to stay, I have the shelter and elements taken away from me. I've got everything."
Cascus just kind of stares for a little bit. Doesn't quite look to Cyan and say, "You never told me this before."
Respectfully, I don't spend a lot of time with other elves.
And if I may, is this what all elves are like? Pardon the generalization.
We work until we are needed, whether that is needed in the defense of our society or for some other reason. And otherwise, we work until we die, which is our lot in life. There are those who are born to build and to maintain and to work, And then there were those to rule. I just happened to be born in the lower of those tiers.
And are there not tiers in between? No, there must be some people who move goods around. A clerical class. I've met the priest of Serene.
Both priests and merchants, those who would fall out of our class, are respected even less by the average person.
It's a good joke.
Would I know something about that? Considering I
Yeah.
probably have met a few traders.
Yeah. Merchants are pretty massively disliked by elves, which hasn't helped that the people colonizing them are merchants.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Would I know
That was
something
something
about?
that came out before that.
Would I know something about why that is? Is it because something of like production or something? Like they don't
Oh, right,
produce?
yeah, sure. Yeah. Well, the elf that you speak to. So has Cyan ever read the Sidenara? I assume not.
Cyan didn't really have a lot of books. He knows how to read, but like he just probably picked up a few things that we've traded with people.
Yeah, I'd say you probably don't know then the core reason why.
Yeah.
The elf says the Sidenara says that there is only 4 valuable professions outside of being a noble, being a high lord, which is warriors, scholars, healers, and artisans. Anyone who fits outside of those tends to not be so well respected by the majority.
Cyan's gonna smirk as he's relaying that bit.
Okay. Do you have any artisans in your town?
I'm an artisan.
Ah.
I make chainmail.
Of course. That is good point. And of which material is your chain made from?
We often work with mithril and adamantine, but our majority is often steel.
Okay. Is that mithril and adamantine something that's just like a thing for Adana and
Yeah.
not really the rest of the world?
No, it's a thing pretty much everywhere. The only thing that is here that isn't really elsewhere is shade steel.
And how is that? I guess yeah.
Are you asking?
Yeah. And what is shade steel? How does one go about making shade steel?
You cannot make shade steel, I'm afraid. It can only be found and transported from person to person.
But surely it must have been made at some point.
It was made by the gods and given to our forebearers for their service. It has since been handed down, lost and refound amongst the years.
Curious.
We have no idea how it was made. We do not even know how to forge it into other things. It just tends to mold itself to its new owner as it is used.
Very well. There are other types of artisans. I appreciate you have very little respect probably for me, but I am looking for opportunities to expand business, and I'm just trying to understand a bit better what it is the elves have that the humans do not, and vice versa.
Well, how about we have no starvation?
Okay. I see this is getting a little political.
This is when you stopped me and asked me about my life. I hope you do not think me of as rude by my answers to your questions. I just have, I guess I could say, little respect for how the humans have treated our historical holdings.
Well,
turning them into warehouses and brothels and all number of places of degeneracy.
Okay. He turns to Sai, and I see this is not going to go anywhere.
I'm kind of
In-
smirking at Casket still.
Okay, you have proved your point. In common. To okay, turns back.
As Cascus leaves, I am going to ask the man if he's got any studded leather armor that he would be happy with parting with.
Yes, you should have that in stock.
Okay, I would like to buy a set of that.
Do you know how much it costs?
Yeah, 3 gold.
Fine, that's fine.
Cheers. And I'm going to, I don't know, find some way to get rid of my old leather armor.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, you could probably find someone to flog it to, but it'd be like discounted and
Yeah,
might just be
I'm
built
more
for it.
just looking to get rid of it, really. I don't want to carry it around.
Yeah, cool. Well, FYI, Elanrian is a level 4 city for everyone.
Okay. Can I just-
So it's barely a city, really.
Just before I rejoin the party, can I just... Stein, did you happen to see High Lord Galad this morning?
I can't say that I did.
Was he present at the kind of the Serenity Garden as I see we were kind of on the way out, or like in the wherever we were?
No, I don't think you did see him this morning.
Interesting. He said he goes for morning walks. I did not see him. Anyway, I'm sure it is nothing.
Strange. I just added the studded leather on, and it's selected as worn, but it's not changing my AC.
Have you got it as worn armor?
It's just say that there's only. Oh, there we are. There we are. Thanks.
You got it.
Yeah.
Cool. Right. So yeah. Henning, what are you doing with your day?
Hadn't really thought. Suppose, sort of thinking about what he saw through the shard. Probably going to try and resist looking at it again for now, if he can. Obviously it's a bit addictive. But I guess.
Yeah, make a will saving throw.
Will. Oh, it's on this. Uh-oh.
Okay, you're not compelled yet to look through it.
Yeah, so I suppose he's going to contemplate on what he saw, and I suppose he's just going to tinker with potions again. I didn't really have anything particularly in mind, but I could message you.
Okay. Hanira and Calcifer, at some point, just walking across the palace together, you spot through an archway Cadell sort of looking at a book in the library, which has confirmed to you that Cadell definitely does know how to read, which is something that male elves don't tend to do all too much. He's just looking up at the book as you walk past, and he sort of waves over to you.
All right.
He says, "Good evening. Well, good day, I suppose. I don't know what time it is."
Any thoughts about when we're heading out?
Yes, we'll head out tomorrow morning. Look at this. He shows you a handwritten, leather-bound copy of the Sidenara, or one volume of it. He's like, this is volume 1 of 12.
How thick is it?
Oh, fairly thick. It's like a big tome.
You read the lot?
Oh yes, many times. This is the true key to understand truly the goings on in the brains of the elves in this place.
So, good read or just an important one?
It is worth reading the introduction, very much. Um. Yeah, you would have been. You probably would have been taught it. I don't know if you would have paid much attention to it. Like you would have had people when you were younger, like tutoring you and stuff in it. But it's a long book, and if you don't really have like a really big interest in the goings on in there, and like a lot of the time, a lot of the men in Adana like study it a lot because they often end up becoming the people who are leading the houses and stuff. So it's got like a lot of advice for ruling in it, and a lot of like the women and girls of Adana don't get educated in that stuff so much. But I'm sure that you probably would have read bits of it. I mean, there's quotes on pretty much like anything that you can think of. On belief, family, and well, I mean, so Cadell sort of flicks through it, and like in this volume alone, there's parts that are on quotes on believing, family and community, hunting, justice and wisdom, love, magic, mercy, professions, servitude, and war. And then there's like an introduction as well.
Who wrote the? I'm sorry, I'm not there.
Who wrote the side now?
It was written by Eret Sa after his unification of Adana. Which means it was actually written by Zulnikar.
Right, sort of a
The Great Betrayer.
ghostwriting type deal.
Eret Sa was possessed, let's say, by the spirit of Zulnikar.
Right.
And Zulnikar wrote his sort of story within the book itself. Anyway, if you ever wish to read any of it, it is right here. We could probably find another version of it somewhere.
Don't suppose they really do many in Orcish.
No, yes, you would have to have someone who knows how to read Elvish.
I can read Common, but yeah, a bit faster in Orcish. It's more condensed.
Well, what plans have you for the rest of the day?
Just gonna wander around a bit.
Yeah, not a lot really. Just walk around really, buying time.
Fair enough. Okay, cool.
And once
Right.
we walk off, I want to
yeah.
say to Calcifer, last night I was woken up by this scream.
Alright.
Did you hear it?
No, don't know, I think Hank might have stirred at some point tonight, but didn't really think much of it.
No, I don't know. It was in the courtyard.
Yeah, it was in the courtyard.
Can't say I heard anything.
Let's go there and check it out.
Okay, so you're going to
Alright.
go over to the part of the courtyard you thought you heard it coming from.
Yeah.
Alright, make a perception check for me.
I'll bring Hank. Bring Hank out and have him with us as well.
29.
Okay, so going over to the part of the courtyard, everything seems fairly in order around here, except just out the corner of your eye, there's like a bush, a kind of a bush, or like a flower bed that seems to have been, I don't know, it seems to have been like interfered with, like some of the flowers are broken. And as you sort of kneel down next to it, next to one of these really very nice, lush yellow flowers, there's like a couple of drops of blood on the flower petals.
Oh, suspicious.
Hank, give that a sniff.
Oh, he goes over. He starts licking the flower as well.
No. Just the blood. Just
Giant piss on the flowers.
Yeah, he cocks his leg.
just try,
Yeah, he gave.
it's
He
like
he's
try and
given
get
it
him to get a scent.
Okay,
Anything.
make a Hank do a
Perception per. Okay,
Yeah.
he's pretty decent. Oh,
Natural 20.
31.
Yeah, Hank Hank definitely smells something. He begins to lead you back towards the second floor where the guest chambers are. And he leads you up to a set of 3 doors. But they're closed, so they seem to be doors that are rooms of maybe that the delegation are part of. Parts of the delegation might be staying here, but you're not quite sure who.
Right, Hank, which is it?
Mm.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Right, what do we do here? Do you want to knock?
Okay.
I think people probably take a bit more kindly to you knocking than me.
I knock.
Okay, you're not. You hear a bit of a shuffling coming from behind the door. And then the door opens up, and you see immediately the other side of the doorway is a priest of the Shiana, wearing a sort of this fishbowl kind of helmet, wearing a cloak over the top of it. The fishbowl is so dense with like sort of a liquidy gaseous fog. It's quite hard to tell whether it's a gas or a liquid in there. Like you can't see like more than a couple of like centimeters inside the fishbowl. The priest is tall, like taller than you, and sort of like looms down at you and sort of grabs your arm, Hanera, as you sort of stand there, and just sort of like pulls you slightly towards it and goes, and you hear its voice going, "You have a rift amongst you. Be aware," and then just lets you go.
Just gonna eye up Hank, see how he's
A rift.
reacting.
Hank sort of is taking a few steps back and is sort of like cowering a little bit. The priest said that in Elven to Hanera. Calcifer, you obviously didn't understand.
It was more just if Hank could smell it going in there.
Oh yeah, there's quite a strong smell of incense which has now flown out of the room. Hank doesn't really want to go near it. Like go near this priest. Really not keen.
Okay.
The priest is sort of turns to you, Calcifer, with a bit of an annoyed expression, if it could have one. Sort of folds its arms a little bit and then just closes the door again.
So I know this isn't actually how you've described them, but I struggle not to imagine. Can I solo her?
Oh my god, yes.
What's that?
Oh my god.
Hang on.
Oh,
one
let
sec.
me solo.
Oh, let me solo her.
Oh, this.
Oh,
Yeah.
right, okay. Oh, right, okay. Now I know what you're talking about. That was very niche.
Reference.
That was very niche.
Imagine that, but with like a black cloak, and the fishbowl is sort of like see through.
And not a great big basket.
No, it's not a big basket. It's see through, but it's got some fog, like dense, like bluish kind of fog in there that you can't see through the fog, so you can't see what's like within it.
Is it more like
there's no
Mysterio?
skin. Yeah, more like Mysterio. There's like kind of no like skin being shown at all at any point. Like everything's covered, gloves and whatnot. Hank goes over to the door and sort of looks up at you, Calcifer.
Just give him a little scratch behind the ear. It's alright, old boy. I'll just look to Hanera.
Next door.
Sorry, did the guy close the door?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I think I missed that. Either missed or forgot.
Well, unless there's anything you wanted to ask him when you open the door.
I get the
But
impression they
Hanera
don't
would have
really.
to ask.
I get the impression they don't really have conversations with people.
No, they don't really like to be bothered.
Yeah.
You're now quite suspicious that because these 3 doors are just sort of on their own way, it may be the doors to the 3 priests that are on the part of the delegation.
That's what I was thinking.
So that's something you could knock on the other doors and confirm that for yourselves, but it's up to you.
Nah. Strange.
Right. Yeah. Let's. Shall we get out of here?
Okay. So we're okay in that case. You. Wait. Cascus, what are you doing?
Getting back to the whatever you want to call it, the palace, I suppose.
Oh yeah.
With Cyan. I don't know what's. I mean, Cascus kind of re-enters.
All right. So
Um,
at some point, you all then
yeah.
meet up again. There's a number of delegates who are just sort of waiting around. But if you wanted to just skip to the next day and back to going again, the High Lord says it was nice having you all here. I hope you have a good night's sleep again. And because he's arrived back now when you arrive back at the palace. So he invites you for another round of dinner and sort of an evening of festivities. And Cadell turns to you and says, "I guess then we are going to Heroesden tomorrow."
Looks
Yes.
like that's the plan.
Yeah. Seems that way.
Very well.
Anything specific to watch out for?
It's alright, I've travelled past it many times. There's no one that we cannot get to back down, I'm sure.
Adele,
Yes.
is there anywhere across Adenir that traders are more welcome? I fear Cascus might have had a bit of a kick today.
Yes, there is the human way of doing things, and then there is the elf way of doing things. Profit isn't necessarily a major concern amongst the elves, let's say that. Maybe against the elf, maybe amongst the elf high lords, but that is nepotism more than anything else.
If that is the case, so be it. But there must be materials this continent has that are unique to its majesty and beauty that the rest of the world could surely benefit from.
There are. But the question is, do you think you'd be able to get the High Lords to let you profit? The merchant company has made a great deal of profit from the elves since being here. And that is after beating them in a war. You see, the elves are very stubborn.
For sure, I do not disagree with that, but from my understanding, most of this continent is still very much untouched by the fingers of human settlers.
I think that's how they would like it to stay. Maybe if we spent more time helping people,
I think what Cyan was trying to say before his voice went staticky is that I agree that by helping those in the continent, I might just put myself in a slightly more advantageous place.
Yes. Kiddo laughs a little bit. Yes, I'm sure that's exactly what they do here. Well, I must rest and prepare myself for the journey tomorrow. I have to refresh my maps.
Very good.
But you are welcome, any of you, to come spend some time with me. Not in any strange way, just...
I was gonna say why.
If anyone wants to talk about anything,
Very full, very full.
Okay.
the invitation is there for a hangout.
Okay, I might later. Depends on how drunk I get.
Very well. Yes, enjoy your last night, all of you. We will be on the road for probably much longer soon.
All right.
All right. So he goes up.
One thing.
Oh yeah.
While we're traveling together, if you catch wind of any little maybe jobs we could do for some profit, I appreciate it if you could hand those our way.
Jobs you can do for profit. Are you in serious need for money?
Well, yeah.
Money's money. Him probably more than us.
Hmm. Do you need money for anything particularly right now, or can you wait until we get to the Emerald City?
I mean, there are some things I could do with, but it's not like I need them to. It's not like I need it today.
All right, we'll have a think. I'll get back to you.
Cheers.
All right, so Cadell goes off to his quarters. Yeah, what? Anything particularly anyone wants to do?
Cyan's probably just gonna hang out here and then go to Kidal later, but we can do that later.
Okay.
I would like to go and ask if I can borrow a copy of the Sidenar.
Yeah. There's one in the library.
Yeah, but I wanted to take it with me.
Oh, take it with you.
Read it on the route.
Make a diplomacy check.
$27.
27. Yeah, you speak to High Lord Aen. He says that taking the whole side Nara with you would be tricky, but he can lend you a version of like the first volume
Yeah?
that you can read, and then next time you're in Elanrian, he'll give you the second one.
Oh, thanks.
Right, so he takes you to the library and says, there are many books here that I nor my sons have never read and will never read, but my wife loves them.
Oh, beautiful.
Right, here we are. He takes the same version that you saw Cadell reading earlier. Here you are. It's okay. Many of us have much of the whole thing memorized.
Perfect. Thank you very much. I'm going to read it on my way.
Okay, cool. Do you want me to send you the introduction?
Mike's written 12 volumes of this thing. Just a little bit of light world building for one of Friday evening one day.
I wouldn't be surprised, actually.
All right, let's say you read this bit during the night. Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
I just
I
sent it
wasn't
as a
expecting
message.
you to have the whole thing.
It wasn't the whole thing, but it was quite a lot of it. Also, I don't know why it's sent as a text folder like that.
So okay, I'm going to copy and paste it anyway and put it in my notes.
Okay, cool. So yeah, all right. Anyone else doing anything?
Casca's about to have a chat with Calcifer at some point. Just briefly.
Yeah, go on.
Sure.
Yeah, so you find Calcifer at some point.
Yeah, I don't know if we're just kind of wandering around, maybe doing some skimming with some stones or something.
Okay. In the koi pond.
Yeah, hopefully not hitting any koi. I don't know remarkably little about you.
Well, what do you want to know?
Well, first of all, let's see, kind of throws a stone, maybe bounces twice and then just plops. You seem to confuse me slightly. You do not seem like the type that would have an affinity for magic in the way you do. May I ask where that came from?
Well, back home. I wouldn't say I'm most devout, but if you wanted to go to school where I was from, you had to go via the church. I guess some of that stuck. Didn't really fancy the priesthood, but Yeah, I guess. Yeah. The maybe don't particularly love all the scripture and that, but some of the lessons ain't too bad.
Forgive my ignorance, but where are you from?
From Golden Cities, Ashmelin.
Which one specifically do you know? Sorry, I don't put the spot if you don't know.
From the. I haven't actually. Not
You've
actually
been
sure.
all over the place, to be fair.
Yeah, we moved around a little bit, but
Okay,
Yeah.
I do not mean to pry too much. It is understandable, but I just strikes me as a little unusual. That is all.
what's unusual about it?
Yeah. Maybe it is just the stereotypes I associate with folks.
Nothing half about me.
Oh, sorry. I
you just
meant
like
orc,
he like bangs his chest. 100% pure orc, right here. Maybe it's the posture threw you off.
Perhaps. I do not know. What goddess? Oh God.
Psychodam.
Psychodan. Can I just do a quick check to know if I know much about? I know Psychodan is fairly well known, but
Yeah.
just like a religion check or something.
Mhm.
That's a
Yeah,
13.
make a religion check.
13?
From your sort of quite, basic knowledge of the Pentasta, Sikadan is sort of known mostly for like forgiveness and like it's quite hard. It's quite hard to explain exactly what he's compassion is his main thing.
Yeah.
So a lot of reformed gamblers, criminals, merchants, and crusaders worship Sikadan because they often fear the other god's vengeance for their crimes.
Yeah.
But that's it. Like he's mostly compassion and forgiveness, and justice. Sort of. That's.
Psychodan, the one who forgives even the worst of us. Maybe I should have gone. As I throws another stone.
Never too late.
And what's your what's your goal? What do you want from this whole business with the delegation? It is. I know you were part of the Adventurers Guild when we met you at the party, but I do not know much about your motivation.
Believe it or not, pretty similar to you actually. How I gather. Money. I need
Stop
it.
skimming. Can I do like a sense motive check there? Sorry.
Yeah.
It's not, I don't like. Yeah. I don't.
I'm fine with that.
It's 24.
That's deception.
Were you lying, Calcifer?
No.
It's not so. Sorry, I might have done the wrong roll, but it's more like, did I detect, like, the reason he wants money isn't necessarily for the sake of having money, but there's an actual like reason for it to be used in some way.
What's your will DC?
My will DC.
Yeah.
It is 20.
Yeah. All right. So, what do you think, Richard?
So it's not necessarily like, you probably wouldn't necessarily get like a sketchy vibe, but like, he's definitely sort of intentionally keeping why he wants the money close.
Yeah.
Undisclosed.
Okay. Okay. Well, you're in good company here, and if you ever want tips on making money, you know how to come to.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of which, you haven't really seen a lot of it flowing. So it's typical.
I invested a good sizable chunk of investment back in Calrius. I would expect dividends to be paying soon enough.
Yeah, it's just well, joined the Adventurers Guild thinking it'll be fast coin. And, well, I knew it would be a bit sporadic, but,
Faster coin than
yes.
than working in a field.
Aside from this shield, most of, if you don't count this shield, then most of the coin I've made so far has been just finding time to do my day job again.
Yeah.
Well, I think you need business that pays your money forward. It sounds to me that you want to use your big burly muscles to do something to get you some money, but unless you are a world-renowned adventurer akin to the what do they call them, the Clive Five, someone like that, you're probably not going to be making lots of money in that way.
I guess depends on your goals. But
Okay, so in that case, let's go to the next day.
Sure.
I wanted to talk
Oh, yeah,
to
Oh, you want to talk to Cadell?
Cadell. Yeah.
All right. So at some point you go into his room. He's just lit by candlelight, writing in a notebook at the moment. And when he hears the door open, he sort of closes it shut and says, "Ah, Cyan, how can I help?"
So there's the I just wanted to ask your advice on something.
Okay.
So there's the obvious issue of someone working for other people.
Yes.
What am I supposed to do if I find out who that is? Do you want him dealt with, or
Bring them to my attention.
right? Okay. I have no idea who it is.
I have my suspicions, but we need a bit more time to determine one way or the other. Don't worry about it. It will be okay.
I just wasn't expecting this, of all things.
What's that?
Well, double agents and Ignis trusting me, of all things. If he trusts me, that is.
I am suspect of exactly his true intentions in that regard. He's not an idiot.
He almost recognized me.
Well, I'm not sure what it is that you've done with him, but if he had recognized you and he realized that you are not his ally, I fear that you would not be here right now. So let that bear that in mind.
Okay. That does lead to another question. When we bring all this to the Padron, what do you expect's going to happen? The others think we should find a peaceful solution.
The Padron is an 11-year-old boy. He may make a decision that we do not agree with. It is ultimately down to the council and the Padron himself. but we can only be the forebearers of information. And do everything we can to nudge certain information in one way rather than the other. It will be okay. Once we get there, I'll be able to explain to the Padron. He has taken a liking to me. He has named me his wit, his court jester.
You seem to be a lot more to him than a court jester.
The court jester can say things that other elves cannot.
That is true.
It is a title that many elves think of as an insult.
I would
Many
have thought.
elves.
I would have thought you more as a spy master.
A master of information, similar to your Veganza or whatever his name is,
Hmm.
Don Iden.
Don Iden, he's I'm not sure I trust him. And I hope you don't mind me saying I'm not sure I trust you either. You've helped out a lot, but you obviously have your own reasons for doing so.
I don't need you to trust me. I just need you to think that I know what I'm talking about.
Praised like that, I'm starting to worry. I kid.
Have a good night, Cyan. I will see you tomorrow.
And you.
All right. So the next day, the gates of Elanrian open, and once again the delegation passes out through the city. Thranduil saying, "Oh, I could have stayed there another week or so."
Sadly, we do have other places to be.
Yes, of course. So, Teherazdan, is it? I hear it's lovely this time of spring. Cadell says, "Yes, we'll get our chances to speak to the dead soon enough, I'm sure, passing that place. But then on to Anuna, and then from there we will head to the city. We'll head to the Emerald City from there." So the delegation begins to draw off once again. And once again you hit the road. This road is a bit rockier. It's not as well maintained. It's not a main road, just to start with. Oh, hang on, how far? Oh, I've gone on the wrong map now. Woohoo! Just bear with me. All right, okay. Where is the ruler? Oh, that's not the right one.
He's in the Emerald City. Way.
I mean, I'm such a noob. Right, okay. Yeah, so it's about a day's travel. So by the time you get, it begins to get to evening time. As you approach the city, the town of Herazdan. You don't quite see it off in the distance, but you've heard from some elves that it's nearby. The woods to your right on the path to the east are the Pelgas woods. These are large ancient trees that haven't been cut down like the humans had with the Rithras woods. A lot of these trees look like they harbour a sort of ancient presence and ancient animals and spirits that very rarely get interfered with, and there's a sort of like spooky ambience about it. But the road is comfortable. You don't see anyone really on this part of the road, and Cadell feels comfortable enough to slow down the carts and sort of he gets off his cart and walks alongside it. What's everyone else doing for the last sort of like hour's worth of travel?
Reading my book.
Reading your book. So did you have you read through that first thing yet?
No, I was playing the game.
Oh no, that's cool. No, I was just wondering because there's some information in there which probably catches your eye. Firstly, I will. What I'll do. So, firstly, it's actually. You know what? Let me read the part that I'm talking about. I think it'll be
Story
important.
time.
Okay, hang on. Just
Woo!
Story.
All right. So, Henira, you sort of begin to read it, and you begin to maybe other people are listening elsewhere. But as you look down at it, it says, "In the beginning, there was only the void, an endless expanse of darkness and chaos. But then, from the depths of the void, there emerged the first of the elves, born of the very essence of magic itself. They were born in servitude to the god Fandar, who granted them immortality, and they fought alongside him to destroy the elemental forces of chaos which controlled the world. These first elves were beings of great power and wisdom." I'm going to turn the music off, actually, because it distracts me a little bit, sorry. "And they spent countless ages studying the arcane arts, delving into the secrets of the universe, and harnessing the energies of the cosmos. Under Fandar, they forged great civilizations, founded mighty kingdoms, and created wonders beyond compare. But with power came temptation, and many of the elves began to succumb to the lure of darkness. They delved too deeply into forbidden magics, and their hearts became twisted and corrupt. They waged wars against one another, bringing destruction and chaos to the world they had created. Fandar, in his anger, called on his most loyal servants to cleanse the world of these corrupted elves. Yet, amid the turmoil, there were those who remained true to the light, who sought to use their power for the greater good. These were the heroes of the elves, the champions of the righteousness who stood against the forces of darkness and defended their people from harm. Most were killed, and those who were spared had their immortality taken from them, and so were their children and their children's children. Only those who were loyal to Fandar kept their immortality, a small handful compared to the slaughter of whole civilizations which had just occurred. One of these immortal elves, once the most loyal servant of Fandar, was named Seraphiel. He felt a great sadness at seeing his master order the slaying of his own creations, and realized what needed to be done to make things right. Seraphiel was contacted by a being named Tayan, who lived in the stars. Tayan told Seraphiel that he was a god like Fandar, and if Seraphiel pledged his allegiance to him, he would punish Fandar for breaking their code. Seraphiel agreed, and summoned Tayan to the world. However, unbeknownst to him, Tayan brought with him an army of dragons from the stars. Before long, the remnants of the world that Seraphiel tried to protect had been destroyed. All but a few of the great cities that existed in those Age of Gods were completely wiped off the world, and Fandar branded Seraphiel Zulnakar, the Great Betrayer. Other beings were created during this war, humans, Mistrans, and more, used by Fandar as tools for war. So, but as you get to that bit, you start to realize that you've heard this name Seraphiel before.
Is Hanera reading this out loud?
No,
Okay.
So
Where
you're
have
just
I heard Starfield before?
that's Vance, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's Vance.
Oh shit.
So you get to that point. Do you decide to continue? Did you want to let anyone know about that?
No.
Okay.
I choose
gonna-
chaos.
I'm gonna, after maybe I can get some time alone with Henning, I'm gonna read it to him. But not right now. That's my plan.
Sure, fine. All right. Well, anyway, the rest of you know that now. So, but your characters don't. So,
Shit.
I don't suppose I could get a copy and paste of that.
yeah, I'll
So
send it to you.
no.
Yeah, we can chuck it in the OneNote as well.
It's already in the OneNote.
Oh,
go-
you're so on it.
Oh wait, no, the whole thing's in the OneNote actually, so don't read the whole thing.
Oh, well, I've
Oh,
put the whole thing in there
Oh,
now.
I won't read
Okay.
the whole thing.
It's fine. It's
under
fine if you read the whole thing.
objects and items, Sidenara. I don't know if I spelled it right though.
Find them on
Okay.
OneNote.
Sorry,
It's
what's the book called again?
Sidenara.
Sidenara.
Sidenar. Yeah.
Sorry, I should have just not done it.
It's if you go to important links and check the pin post and scroll down, it's the bottom one.
I just had it written. I just had the name for it in my notes as Elf Bible.
Elf.
Sorry, important links,
So
and then the.
I didn't want to put the wrong name down. That's like slightly wrong, and then keep calling it that.
Where's this? Where's the whole copy, please? Sorry, is it in the?
I put it in the Forge chat, the Foundry chat.
Also,
Oh,
why do only I
Oh.
have a death count?
I made it in the anticipation.
I,
This is
I,
all
It's
my
coming.
notes. This is
It's
all my-
coming.
All my notes, so don't.
Sorry,
don't
this is a
go
bit of a
deleting them.
distraction.
Right. So in that case, yeah, you read this over the next few hours on the road, and sort of have something to mull over a little bit. I guess a few of the people recognise that Hanira's read something quite important, but don't quite know what. As you look over to the city of Harrisdan itself, you see these absolutely ruined, destroyed towers, and like collapsed parts of the wall. Like most of the city is still held up, but it seems to be like maybe 300, 400 years it's been like this. So it's been quite a while. And the city itself seems to be almost cloaked in a sort of shadow, like a bit of a darkness as you go past it. I know it's getting dark now, but there seems to be something about it.
I have my saber drawn and ready.
Cadell
Something
looks
from
over
that.
to you and says, I don't think there'll be any need for that. We're just going to go on the outskirts of the wall.
I don't like it. There's something off about it.
Who's that over there? One of the delegation shouts back.
I could tell a look of I fucking said so. I fucking said so.
Points over to somewhere in the woods. There seems to be a few people moving in the tree line. There seems to be like carrying torches. Cadell puts his hand up to stop. Maybe they haven't seen us yet. And he takes out like a little, like a spyglass and looks over. What is that over there? Can the party make perception checks, please?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, public or?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
19.
20.
Oh,
Oh,
Casca's
nice.
got on that 20.
Oh, that was me.
So many dice.
All right, Cascus. You're the only person who really saw very much. Like it's quite dark and it's quite hard to see what's going on amongst the trees. But Cascus, you sort of climb onto one of the carts and look over. You see movement of more than just a few people. There seems to be movement of a lot of people in the trees. And then you begin to see horses pushing their way out of the tree line ahead of you. They seem to be there's maybe 20 or 30 horses with elves on top of them, geared out for war, carrying a flag of a phoenix.
Oh.
You hear Cadell whisper under his breath, "House Ignis."
Yeah.
You see as one of the cavalry that are sort of like on top of the hill, like staring down. At the moment, you guys are sort of pressed up against the wall leading to Harrisdan, effectively, and they're coming out of the trees, ready to just like almost charge into you.
Is there like can I do a perception check to see if there's like gaps in the wall or something? Like,
Yeah, there's a big crack in the wall behind you.
Can Cascus kind of make a way for there and kind of like encourage others to?
Are you saying that they're going to charge? Because
Well, yeah,
no one's quite
Ca-
seen most
okay,
of this go on now.
well,
yet?
so Cascus notes that there's a lot of people. That are like I don't know, like what a sensible. I don't know how quite close they are. Like what's a sensible loudness? But I imagine if there's like 20 horses moving, then it's probably quite loud over where they are.
Yeah, there's like, but they're sort of pushing their way over through the tree line.
Okay.
You could probably make out there's probably about 100 people that you can see.
Okay,
It might be it might be like a small army walking through that.
Okay.
Actually.
Everybody, please, you should make your way in this way, please. Quick. There's a lot of people in that wood.
As Cadell has mentioned House Ignis, I want to look at the other members of the delegation that I can see. Do any elves seem a bit happier or a bit thing to see House Ignis at all?
With your perception check, let me just have a look. Yeah, you see Leonel sort of smiling a little bit, looking over the things, and Cadell says, "They are going to charge us." And as he says that, you hear from like a bunch of like a war horn, as a number of the horses begin to charge down the hill towards you. You have probably about 20 seconds before they get to you. What is, what,
Rift?
are you going to try and go through the walls of the city?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's gonna kind of
So
encourage behind him.
Cyan's gonna try and get closer to Leonel.
Okay, Leonel and a number of the delegates are sort of just still watching, aren't really moving. But the rest of you, knowing what's going on, are starting to make a break for the thing. It's not very long at all until suddenly the horses begin to just crash into the side of the caravan. So who of you has gone through this crack? You can can pass through it. Yeah.
I'd
Yeah.
like to go through the crack.
Everyone's gone through it.
Other than Simon.
I'm with Leonel.
Yeah, I don't mind a fight, but I
So you're
don't want
not
to take
going
on
through the crack, then?
100
No.
Okay.
plus army.
So, Cyan, you need to make me a reflex saving throw, please. As like 20 horses just descend on your position.
Reflex saving throw.
Mhm.
Where do I find that?
The dice under the word reflex on the left.
Oh yeah, of course. I still somehow not used to this interface.
Okay, that's fine. You managed to evade the first round of horses cleaving straight into the side of the camp. As you're the only person here, you see Cadell draw out his kukri and is like dashes alongside one of the horses that attempts to charge and just cuts its leg out from under it, and the entire horse and the rider collapse onto the ground. And then Cadell sort of calmly walks up to the knight and slits the knight's throat on the floor.
I'm gonna whisper to Leonel, "What the fuck is going on?"
Beats me. Let's go. He's sort of like you saying that to him. He takes you by the arm and pulls you towards the wall of the inside the city. Cadell walks over, shouts over to you, Cyan. Get safe. I'll come find you. But there's a number of the sort of guards that are defending the caravan, and just other people fighting amongst the knights. And eventually the House Ignis knights, who are still on horseback, blow the horn again, and they begin to run back to the soldiers. And you now looking out the crack of the wall, you see there's maybe 3 or 4 squads of maybe 20 men each, all descending down the hill towards the city. Leonel, getting inside the walls, being pushed by you, and the rest of the party are also around there. Leonel says, "That is an army."
You were expecting them, weren't you?
Excuse me. I don't like to be called a traitor without...
I saw you.
What, do you think I would have gladly warned them over here to attack me? I almost died there as well. I had to dodge a few sword blows. You hear the more shouting by the caravan as a couple more people begin to filter through. Leonel says, "We should find somewhere safe within the city to hide." They don't have enough men to to search the entire city.
Yes.
You can go in front of us.
Regardless, let's get moving.
Okay, so you begin to walk off.
I keep him in front of me.
You don't see Cadell coming back through the crack.
He'll be fine. He's Cadell. He's a badass.
He'll find us.
All right. So the city itself. Imagine what's that? Is it Mordheim? Imagine sort of Mordheim. Like it's got a sort of canal kind of river flowing through it, but the river has is probably half the depth that it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the stone has long since sort of roughened and faded with time and has weathered. There's like a moss lining on everything in this city, and like a lot of the houses are sort of rotten / half decrepit. Like you could find some shelter in here, and there's a few houses that are still standing, especially the old stone houses. But really, like this city is crazy. It's like a ghost town. The only thing that isn't like a normal city is the constant bones that you're stepping on as you're walking around. Like everywhere you go, there are the bones of starved dead elves all around the place. Especially near the. So the city lasted for quite a while, and it's because they managed to they managed to like you from what you've heard from the other elves speaking, the way that the city like survived for a little bit was that the hexweave from the lord that they took over and used it. But eventually that just stopped working, or like they forgot how to use it or didn't have the resources to use it effectively. And then eventually they starved. So it probably took a period of about 25-30 years or something. But when they finally were starving, when the walls were finally closed, it was quite quick. And there are still bones around, especially in the sheltered areas. So by the walls, there's quite a lot of bones, especially from people who tried to like climb up the walls.
Yeah.
But alas, following Leonel says, "I've never been here either. I don't know why you expect me to know where to go."
How did to stab someone in the back? They're behind you. I mean, if they're in front of you.
Well, that's put a bit of a shitter on our plans, isn't it? We're now under attack.
I suggest we head back to Ilanarian.
There is a potential Ignis army between us and the Emerald City. If we could even leave this city.
We go through Ariston and onto Narion without them knowing.
We would have to cross over the river.
Yeah, I can. Wait, hold on. We could do that.
The army must have come from the mountains. They must have travelled through Hyde and Arran. That means someone's allowing this.
House Rexus, perhaps? No.
House Rexus and House Ignis would never make an alliance like that.
How about House Caden? How do they feel about this?
Well, House Caden benefited from the fall of House Natas just as much as House Ignis and House Kaidas did.
Well, they're the closest ones. That said, Kaidas is surrounded by the mountains. I'd imagine they'd know how to navigate it.
What they be after? I'm gonna make this an investigation, by the way. This whole debacle.
Right.
What about the priests? Are they in our company?
You have a look around. You don't know where the priests have gone either.
Could be that.
The you hear a voice near you. They're here for me, and you see Cadell sort of with like a slash wound in his gut, like holding it and sort of like holding himself against a wall.
Why do they want you?
It's a long story. Which is why I was heading back to.
You need patching up.
That's why I was heading back to the Emerald City. Thanks. Yes, if you can.
I'll give him a lay on hands.
Okay.
Maybe at this point we kind of deserve to know something.
Can't we just hide first, please?
Follow me. I know the way. He takes you just to like a small, like he takes you into the sewer network, and then takes you up to where the river is. It's like a sort of like just out the way hidden bit where the sewage would normally flow into the river, but like the river's too low for it to go through the sewers, and there's no sewage here anyway. So, we should be able to just stay here for a little bit.
Right. What are they after you for then?
House Kaidos and House Ignis have been conspiring for a long time to attempt to deviate the throne from the possession of the Padron, let's say. They have been working in collaboration with what I presume is the Banking Guild. And it has something to do with the gloom. They are pretty well, I have constantly had people following me in my duties, and I have been threatened by multiple Ignis and Kaidos professionals. I didn't think it was a matter of time before they would come for me. I thought I would return back to the Emerald City as part of a royal delegation. They would be mad to attack that, but they clearly do not care about the survival of any of us.
So they just want war then?
They don't want war. They know that if I return to the Emerald City, they will have war.
I mean, they attacked a royal delegation.
Yes, but if there is no one to survive it, they will never know. Like
bold.
one of the knights, maybe two, had shade steel weapons.
Do you think those were the so-called deserters?
They were not deserters. But,
That's what I mean. Like, do you think they were giving off that act to move us in this direction?
I fear that House Ignis has made a camp inside the Pelgas Woods, moving just a few men at a time, so that it doesn't look like an army has moved. But there is a lot of men in there.
How are they eating?
They are using hex weaves.
Oh, I thought they could only have one.
There are multiple High Lords within House Ignis who have their own hex weaves.
Oh,
Do you
so there's a High Lord there with them as well.
Well, there must be. Yeah.
Do you
Like,
suspect
you suspect that it's a High Lord that has a shade steel weapons. There's a couple of High Lords at least.
Yeah.
Do you suspect our mutual friend is related?
Our mutual friend.
Duranda?
I'm not sure whether this is Forster's loyal to Duranda Ignis or his father. I figure it might be Duranda. All right, let's stop there, shall we?
All right.
And then we'll go through the system. We'll go through Herazdan. And try and escape from Herazdan. Try and escape from the Shade Wielders. All right, thanks for playing, everyone.
Yeah, thanks for running.
Thanks for running.
Thanks for having me.
Sweet.
I had a request.
Oh yeah.
Would you be able to re-upload the map so that it doesn't have the confirmed rifts on? Because I can't see the names of some of the places.
Oh yeah. Have you written down where the confirmed rifts are now?
I haven't.
No.
I'll take those out after today if you just want to.
It might be quite useful to have some kind of way to indicate that where they
Yeah,
are.
would you be able to just have two maps?
Oh,
Even if
yeah,
it's like
I can put
maybe
it up. Yeah.
a red dot or something. I don't know. It's like not in the way.
Maybe
Sure. Yeah.
ideally
I'll
like
think
a
about.
key
Yeah.
or something.
Thank you.
That-
Sorry.
Yeah,
that's a bit more
That's okay.
effort.
That's
Yeah.
cool. That's fine.
All right.
I'm gonna head off. Night,
Okay.
everyone.
See you later.
Right.
No.
Goodbye, Streamios.
Goodbye,
Uh,
strummers.
So long, Gebels.